What's up, primals? Today I want to talk about the succubus and the Jezebel spirit while on semen retention and how to not be eager to make a mistake when you are on semen retention. Now, essentially, the Jezebel spirit and the succubus is a description of a female narcissist. Now, I do think that it is possible for men to be kind of coerced into the Jezebel spirit and becoming the Jezebel spirit themselves, even if they're not aware. But for anybody that doesn't know what a Jezebel spirit is, Jezebel is a person in the Bible whose face was actually the only one that was painted. So she was actually the only woman in the Bible that ever wore makeup, which is pretty interesting to think about considering modern day fashion trends, but I digress. It's really important to remember as a male on semen retention that if you are retaining past 30 days, you are like a walking protein shake with the highest quality of milk available. And some of these women have never seen your likes before. Most men nowadays are watching pornography. They're watching a lot of just unnecessary sexual activity via phones and computers and all that silly stuff. So know that you might be attracting women that you've never attracted before. And you also want to keep in mind that a lot of the times when you're leveling up spiritually, a lot of the times people want your spiritual energy and your seed as a man. And it's not always the case that they want who you are and they want to know who you are. They see your energy, they see your aura, and they want that. And you want to also keep in mind that the Jezebel spirit or the succubus primarily involved with sexual seduction of man in order to dominate the will of the man. Notice, at least I've noticed this on my spiritual journey, that a lot of them have what I call assassin's eyes. And these are the eyes of a tiger. And these are like hunter's eyes, you know, right? But not the ones that you kind of see on men. These are very seductive eyes that when you look at them, you are very captivated. And yet at the same time, there's something within your spirit that is uneasy. It's not a calming presence. It's not calming at all. It may feel good and it may feel exciting, but it's not calming. And there is a difference. So in Kings 18:4, it says that Jezebel cut off the prophets from the Lord and fed them bread and water in a cave. So basically, Jezebel spirit, well, Jezebel was actually a person in the Bible, but I would say the spirit of Jezebel is definitely prevalent in modern day society and less to destroy men of God specifically. This is by taking their self-discipline, taking their spiritual power and retaining and stealing their seed that they've been retaining. Because the longer that you retain on retention for men, the higher your spiritual value goes up. And if you think that there's anything like, if you think that you have any misconceptions about that, well, then try it yourself. And if you don't have any results after, I would say, the first 7 to 21 days, if you don't have serious results, then stop. Don't do it. But I have not talked to anybody that's gone that long as a man and has not seen results in their business, in their spiritual journey, with just attraction in general. And I'm not saying that you should do retention in order to attract women. I'm not saying that at all. But that is a byproduct of what you're going to experience. And you can think about it as, you can think about the Jezebel spirit as a kind of envy of manhood to some degree. And I know that may be triggering to some of the women that may or may not be watching this, but you have to understand that it is like a man's manhood is perhaps the most valuable thing to him, if not the most only valuable thing. I mean, there's a quote in Scarface that says, all I have in this world are my balls and my word. That's it. And really, I mean, that's a bit graphic, but I'm speaking from a place of sincerity. So yes, that is what it is. And a lot of the times the Jezebel spirit will try to place seeds of doubt in your mind and ask you questions like, are you really doing that? Or is that what we really want to do? And the reason that she says we in that context is not out of a teamwork or a friendship or whatever it is. No. She wants you to fall into her frame, into her reality. She wants you to commit to her will by making it seem like you're doing this together. It's really not. And I can share a personal experience with this. I had a woman that I was dealing with. She was older than me as well at the time, a few years older than me. And she would say, like, when I would try to make a plan, she would try to get me to commit before actually commit to her before actually making any kind of plan on my end. So I would have been forced to commit without her, well, maybe not forced, but I would have been agreeing to commit without asking for anything in return, which is the definition of a simp. And I don't recommend that to any man whatsoever. I would say be willing to walk away first and primarily before doing that. But this woman was older than me at the time, right? And so she was a little bit more experienced than I am, and she maybe a lot more experienced than I was at the time, and she really knew how to use her words to captivate me, and she knew what I was looking for. She knew what I wanted at the time, which was an intimate relationship. And it wasn't like I was just lonely. That's really what it was. That came down to is I was lonely, and she knew that, and she took advantage of that information and used it against me. And I'm not saying that like we should throw a pity party for that. I'm saying that what I learned from that experience is that before you try to be, and I wasn't retaining at the time either. That should be another thing to note. But I was just so caught up in the beauty and the seduction of it all, and really just the willful sin that I was committing. And I just didn't care at that point anymore. I just didn't really care. I didn't have a lot going on. There was just not a lot of hope, it seemed, at the time. And so I was willing to commit sin because it was better than feeling the pain that I had been repressing. But know that when you give your strength to a woman as a man, there is something that happens in the relationship where she automatically loses respect for you. And it's very important to know that for women, as a man, if a man is not respected by the woman, in my experience, is just completely unable to love the man. love and respect are almost the same thing, right? Especially when it comes to a relationship between the two sexes, male and female. Love and respect are really the same thing. So when a woman loses respect for the man, the relationship might as well be done. And so, again, don't hold your ground and stay true to who you are, men, and be willing to put yourself first. That's another thing I did wrong in that situation, was I wasn't putting myself first in the situation with this woman. So again, she's going to manipulate and use beauty to seduce you. She's also going to be willing to start fights and then play the victim. Man, there was a time long ago where I met this girl, and she was very rebellious, right? And this is another kind of thing with the Jezebel and succubus spirit. They're very they want to go against the grain a lot of the time. They're not very agreeable. And honestly, as a woman, to a man, that's very unattractive to some. To most masculine men, I would say that it is unattractive to have a very disagreeable woman, because what kind of man wants a woman that is always disagreeing and is not going to do what she says she's going to do, and then berates or puts down his manhood either in the home or in public? No man worth anything is going to put up with that. And so and then on the flip side, it's like the women say, well, what if he doesn't respect me, right? It's like, as a man, I don't think there's ever been a time where a beautiful woman that has done what she says she's going to do and is fairly agreeable with me, but is willing to cooperate. I've never thought to myself, yeah, what a dumb bitch. I've never thought to myself that. I've never lost respect for a woman like that. It's just, I don't get it. Anyway, that's another side tangent. But the most important thing to know is that she wants your seed. The succubus, this Jezebel, wants your seed. And the Lord says in 1 Kings 21 through 23, it says, the dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. So the Jezebel spirit lacks empathy and requires all attention to be on her. And so really, she's not very useful to society. In fact, in one of the stories in the book of Kings, she actually tries to convince this man of hers, her husband, to take the vineyard and to commit evil doings for the sake of false righteousness. And he ends up doing it, and then he loses all respect from God, and God then punishes him further by the sins that he's committed. And then he wonders what he's doing, and then Jezebel basically blames the person whose vineyard that they tried to steal and take for themselves. And it's just another act of deflection. It's another act of not taking accountability. The story of the Jezebel spirit in the Bible is just such a testament to the proclivity of deflection in modern society, and how they want to take everything that isn't theirs and then blame them for not including them. It's mind-blowing, but it's or if the rules are too hard to follow and to commit to, then they want to make the rules easier. But it's like, when you make the rules easier, then nobody really wins, and then they get mad for not being included. It's just a vicious cycle. But the lacking empathy is really something I want to talk about with the Jezebel spirit as well, is because sometimes as a man, if you're starved for attention, because we all want attention to some degree, if you're a man starved of attention and have a genuine loneliness, there is almost if you can take what you can get, that's going to be very beneficial for the man. But in reality, it's going to just hurt the long run. So the best thing that you can do as a man is to get on retention, to work on yourself, to understand that if you want a quality woman, you're going to have to work to some degree. And there's just no way around it. That's just the life of the modern day. And the modern man can either sink or swim. And because most women are not going to go for the man that doesn't have the vineyard, right? The Jezebel spirit wants the guy that has the vineyard, but is willing to take it. Whereas the guy that actually has the vineyard, and I'm speaking metaphorically here, the guy that has the vineyard is the guy that is a walking protein shake that has high quality milk and a vineyard that is filled with great potential. And it's going to take labor to make that vineyard into something that can produce everlasting results. So, with that being said, I hope this message was informative and useful, and I hope you also understand as men, again, don't be eager to make a mistake by the Jezebel. Just because the Jezebel spirit is giving you attention does not mean that you shouldn't watch her actions, because her actions will tell you way more than what she's saying. In the Bible, I think it's in Proverbs, it says that the woman who tears down her own house has words of a honeycomb. So this also goes back to my own story and my own personal experiences, that this woman that I was talking to that was older than me, had way more experience than me, probably way more experience than me if I'm being honest with myself. She knew what to say. She knew what to do. She knew how to get me to conform to being under her control. But it will not work that way. And that's how a woman is going to tear down her own house, is by doing such a thing. And then in most situations she'll blame the man, which is a whole nother story in of itself. But that being said, men, keep retaining and don't give your seed away to somebody that just wants your spiritual goodness and God's strength. So, may peace be with you. Till next time.